Today I have brought you an Indian crime thriller film, titled Spoiler Alert, and I hope you like it. The movie begins with Akash, a talented blind pianist, trying to finish a piece of music. He has a little cat named Rani and lives in an NGO-owned house for a lower rent. Akash's dream is to perform in a London concert, so he earns money by teaching piano lessons to others. We then see Pramod, a famous actor from the 70s, who lives with his second wife, Simi. Although they have been married for 3 years, his daughter Dani still calls Simi her aunt, which bothers her. Simi's goal is to act in movies and get famous, so she often performs in the kitchen while Pramod shoots. Despite their huge age difference, they seem to love and care for each other. One day, while Akash is crossing the road, he gets knocked over by a girl named Sophie. She apologizes a lot and takes him to a coffee shop after realizing he is blind. While talking, Sophie learns that Akash is a piano player, so she takes him to her dad's restaurant. Upon hearing the music, both are impressed and hire Akash to play the piano for their restaurant every night. Later, Sophie drops him off and compliments his music piece, but Akash says it's not finished yet. She then adds, "Some things are better left unfinished," which makes him very happy. He then rushes home, takes out his lenses, and watches Sophie drive away. It turns out, he just pretends to be blind. He started as an experiment to improve his focus on playing the piano, but he quickly realized the benefits of being blind and continued to use the leverage, such as lower rent and everybody treating him better. After Sophie's earlier comments, Akash decides to go without the lenses to look at her face. Akash's daily routine includes playing at the restaurant and hanging out with Sophie. He receives a lot of tips, which allows him to save more money for his trip to London. As they see each other on a daily basis, they become closer. A few days later, Pramod is impressed with Akash's amazing performance and invites him to play the piano for his wife, offering a huge amount in advance. Later that night, Pramod plans to surprise Simi, so he lies to her about going on a business trip on their anniversary day, which upsets her. Meanwhile, Sophie was soaked in the rain when she dropped Akash at his house, so he invites her over and offers her his shirt. They soon shared a kiss and became intimate with each other. The next day, Akash goes to Pramod's apartment for the private concert. Simi opens the door and initially refuses to allow him inside because she is unaware of the surprise, but agrees when she sees her neighbor watching them. Simi directs Akash to the piano and tells him that Pramod will be back in 10 minutes and asks him to play something until then. While passionately playing the piano, he notices some blood on the floor and a dead body. He is freaking out inside but calmly asks her to show him the way to the bathroom. He was going to cool down in the bathroom, but to his surprise, there was a man hiding in there with a gun in his hand. So he continued faking blindness to avoid the man's suspicion and quickly left the bathroom. On the way back, he manages to identify the body as Pramod's. In a flashback, it is revealed that when Pramod returns home to surprise his wife, he catches her having an affair with a man. While Akash plays the piano, Simi and her lover silently clean up the place and hide the body in a suitcase. The man then put on a Pramod jacket and left with the suitcase. Simi then starts crying for a moment and informs Akash that Pramod will be late and asks him to leave. When Simi asks him whether she owes him any money, Akash smartly replies that he'll collect it from Pramod sir. Akash sits on the roadside, digesting what just happened for a while before going to the police station to report the murder, but to his surprise, the man who killed Pramod is actually an inspector of police, named Manohar. To avoid the inspector's attention, Akash quickly changes his story and lies about his cat being missing for 2 days, blaming the boy living downstairs. To confirm whether Akash is really blind, Manohar goes to his house and does several tests, such as suddenly throwing a knife at him, but Akash, experienced in faking blindness, passes the test easily. Manohar then left, believing that Akash was truly blind. The following day, Pramod's body was found in the river. When the news of Pramod's death goes viral, his wife Simi discloses that he carried 10 million rupees with him to close a business deal. At the funeral, Mrs. D'Souza, a neighbor of Pramod, sees Akash playing the piano and tells Sub-Inspector Paresh that Simi was lying, and there was another man who came into the house before Pramod. When Paresh questioned about the third man, Simi replied it was the pizza delivery guy who arrived before Pramod. She adds Mrs. D'Souza was a close friend of her late husband and tried to help. Meanwhile, Dani hears Akash playing her dad's favorite song and requests him to teach her how to play. The next day, Akash goes to Pramod's house for Danny's piano class, but as the elevator door opens, he sees Simi throwing off Mrs. D'Souza from the balcony. Akash is forced to continue faking blind in order to avoid Simi's suspicion. Upon witnessing the second murder, Akash becomes scared and returns to his house, where he calls Sophie to tell her the truth. Bandhu, the annoying neighbor's kid, is suspicious of Akash's blindness, so he starts recording Akash's kitchen by tying his phone to a long stick and finds out that Akash is not really blind. Meanwhile, Simi surprises him by coming to his house and offering him temple sweets. Akash takes a bite and goes to the kitchen to make coffee, but when he turns back, he sees Simi wearing a ghost mask in an attempt to scare him. Fortunately, Akash did not react and continued to make coffee. When he comes back, Simi adds drugs to his coffee right in front of him to see if he is really blind. He excuses himself to get some biscuits and pretends to knock over the coffee by mistake. Simi has had enough and aims a gun at him. At this point, he finally confesses. Akash promises her that he will not tell anyone about the murders and he will soon leave this city for a concert in London. However, he starts to choke, realizing that the sweet Simi had given him earlier was poisoned and falls to the ground. Sophie arrives at Akash's house sometime later. Bandhu shows her the recording of Akash and discovers that he is not really blind. She felt duped and knocked on the door angrily, only to find Simi covered in a towel. Sophie misunderstands what is happening and rushes out of Akash's house. Later, Akash wakes up and realizes that he has turned blind for real. He demands Simi to take him to the doctor or else he'll tell everyone about the murders, but Simi doesn't care and reminds him that no one is going to believe the blind. Simi returns to Manohar and tells him that she blinded Akash for real. But Manohar gets angry and blames Simi for not killing him as he is still an eyewitness to the murders, despite being blind. Later that night, Manohar sneaks into Akash's house to finish him off, but he uses the iron to hit Manohar in the head and runs to the street before hitting his head on a pole and fainting. The next day, Akash wakes up at a clinic and panics. Dr. Swami asks him to relax and informs him that Murli and his elder sister Sakku found him unconscious on the road and brought him to the clinic. Akash keeps requesting an eye specialist for his recently damaged eyes. Swami assures him that he is safe and the eye doctor will see him in the evening. Akash feels safe after hearing their voices since he has heard them before in his neighborhood. That evening, Swami returns to the clinic and gives money to Sakku for bringing him there. It turns out, Swami wants to take both his livers and sell them. When Akash realizes this, he becomes terrified and tries to escape, but they manage to pin him down and give him anesthesia. Just before he passes out, he keeps shouting that he knows a way to get 10 million rupees and swears by the Lord Shiva tattoo on Sakku's hand. The next morning, Akash wakes up unharmed and starts discussing his plan with them. Later, when Simi goes home, she is surprised to see Akash giving a piano lesson to Dani. She then offers Akash a ride home and quickly calls Manohar. He instructs Simi to lure Akash into the forest so he can kill him. However, to Simi's surprise, she is tricked and kidnapped by Akash and his team. After that, Akash calls Manohar's wife and tells her about his affair with Simi. He demands 10 million rupees or the evidence will be released to the media. Manohar's wife is furious and threatens to kill him for cheating on her, but she changes her mind and calms down after hearing that Simi is suspected of committing suicide. Upon hearing the news, Sophie assumed Akash and Simi had eloped. However, Simi is not dead, and she is taken to Dr. Swami's clinic, where he takes a blood sample from her and tells Akash that if the blood group matches, the eye transplant can be done easily. While Simi tries to bribe the other three, she accidentally confesses to the murders, which are recorded by Murli. The next morning, Sakku calls Manohar and tells him where to go. While Swami runs a blood test, Murli and Sakku double-cross Akash, tie him up with Simi, and plan to take the money themselves. Manohar reaches the location, puts the money in the lift, and uses stairs to catch them by surprise. While Murli checks the money, Manohar suddenly shows up and shoots him in the neck. When he realizes the evidence is not with him, he uses the lift to catch others. Once he leaves, Murli informs Sakku to cut off the elevator power and trap him inside. Manohar tries to escape by shooting at the elevator door, but ends up accidentally shooting himself. Sakku then takes Murli to the hospital as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, he died due to massive blood loss. She gives the money to the doctor and begs her to do something, only to find that the money is fake. The doctor then advises her to donate his organs if she wishes. Meanwhile, Akash and Simi agree to work with each other by removing Simi's blindfold after she helps him to free himself. As he tries to escape, Simi frees herself with the knife and attacks him. While beating him, Dr. Swami appears and gets beaten as well. As she tries to kill him, Akash comes and holds her. Together, they manage to knock Simi out. The doctor puts Simi in the back of his car and informs Akash that they have hit a jackpot. Dr. Swami explains that Simi has a rare blood type and the buyer is willing to pay $1 million for her liver. Swami then willing to give Akash a share in return for saving his life. They drive away with Simi tied to the car. 2 years later, a traveling Sophie meets Akash at one of his performances in Europe. He is still blind and wearing dark glasses, and he tells her the entire story. Akash still believes in his moral values and requests Swami not to kill Simi by removing her organs, but instead give her to the police. While arguing, they hear Simi making noises, so he stops the car to inject more drugs into her. However, Simi overpowers and stabs him in the neck and take control of the car. On the other hand, Akash believes Dr. Swami is still driving, so he tries to convince him to let Simi go. Hearing Akash's words, Simi can't bring herself to kill him, so she drops him off and drives away. However, she suddenly changes her mind, turns around the car, and speeds towards Akash to run him over. While she gets closer to hitting him, a hunter who is trying to kill a rabbit misses the shot, causing the rabbit to jump and slam into her windshield, which causes her to lose control and crash. The car soon explodes, killing Simi with it. With the help of his friend, he came to London. After hearing the whole story, Sophie tells Akash that he should have accepted Dr. Swami's offer and gotten his sight back with that money. Akash, however, says nothing and walks away with the help of his stick, which has a rabbit carved on the handle. The movie ends with Akash precisely hitting the can out of his path. It turns out, Akash is not blind and lied to Sophie about the rabbit incident. In fact, he agreed to Dr. Swami's deal and got his eyes back. He then fled to London with the money made from harvesting Simi's organs. However, he is pretending to be blind when he meets Sophie, because he still loves her and wants to gain her sympathy. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to like and subscribe for more amazing videos.